Heya, welcome back to another video. Thank you for joining me today. As always, I hope you're keeping well. So I'm going to be talking you through my library book haul today. I haven't done one of these in ages, and to be perfectly honest, the library has been the only thing that's been successfully getting me through my book buying ban these last 5 months. If it wasn't for the library, I feel like I probably would have given in a good while ago. But I've been using it as like a subtle replacement. Anytime I get the urge to get a new book or read a new book that I don't currently own, I get it out of the library, and it has been an absolute lifesaver. Something that I've been thinking about a lot and that I want to promote even after my book buying ban is well over is sustainability and promoting the fact that you don't need to continuously buy a whole heap of books every now and again in order to do content or in order to feel like you're a reader or, to keep up with the Joneses basically. I've always enjoyed using the library. I probably don't talk about it as much as I should because it really does make me sad and disappointed to think about the articles that have come out over the last couple of months about Book Talk and BookTube being the equivalent to fast fashion, the way people buy books and then get rid of books. I don't know, it's just kind of disappointing, and I don't want to be contributing to the problem. It feels quite shocking to say, but I feel like in the last 2 to 3 years, all the online bookish communities have made even more of a big effort to support and endorse consumerism. And it really does seem that critical thinking has completely gone out the window when it comes to how you're going to not only spend your money, but then promote what you spend your money on. And I think by hauling, 50 or 60 books a month, you have opened yourself up to criticism, and you are holding yourself to a certain standard and holding the community to a certain standard that's going to be judged. And unfortunately, that's just where we're at now. In future, I'd love to see more people support sustainability rather than continuously bulk buying books on Amazon or just not even supporting the brick and mortar bookshops anymore. It would be great if the community would just have a little bit more self-awareness in this day and age. Of course, it feels great to buy a whole heap of books. Of course, it's exciting. But I think we're at a point now, it's 2024, where we have to think about the knock-on effect of that and how we as a community are being seen by others. So that's my little rant over. Now let's get into the books that I've picked up from the library recently. So first up we have We Spread by Iain Reid. Now I read Foe by this author earlier this year and it really knocked my socks off, and I'm very excited to get into this because it sounds like more strange weirdness that I'm going to really appreciate. This follows an elderly artist called Penny. She's lived in the same apartment that she has for decades, and after her partner passes away, she realizes that she is going to ultimately have to move into a long-term care facility because she's had too many accidents when she's living by herself, and she realizes that she has just succumbed to the fact that she's getting older. So after she makes the move into the care facility and being surrounded by her peers, she ends up getting a new lease on life and even starts to paint again. But after a while, her days start blurring into one another, and then this anxiety and this dread starts creeping in on Penny, and she starts to believe that there's something much bigger going on in this care facility. So this sounds incredibly intriguing to me. I'm really looking forward to getting into it. And because this is a large paperback, the font inside is absolutely massive. So I feel like I'm going to fly through it and hopefully really enjoy it, at least enjoy it as much as I enjoyed Foe. And then hopefully afterwards I can get to I'm thinking of ending things. Then I picked up Water Shall Refuse Them by Lucie Mcknight Hardy. This is an author that I've read from previously. I read her short story collection Dead Relatives last year and really enjoyed it. It was very Shirley Jackson-esque, and apparently this first long form novel from her is also kind of got the similar vibes of that. So this is a folk horror story and it's set in Wales in 1976 during the summer in a heat wave. And it follows Nif and her family. Nif is a 16-year-old girl and they've moved to a small secluded town in Wales to escape the loss of her sister. Basically, her younger sister accidentally drowned and the family is hoping to pick up sticks and start again. And what ends up happening, unfortunately, is that the seclusion really just amplifies their loss. So Nif takes off into the woods around her and she starts trying to work on her own form of witchcraft. She picks up little things and creates her own talismans, and she attracts the interest of a local boy who has his own secrets to share with her and his own strange rituals. So this just sounds really fascinating. Again, it sounds like something that is going to be right up my alley, and I'm really, really looking forward to it because I'm seeing more people talk about it at the moment because people are talking about summer horror novels and all that sort of thing. So this keeps popping up time and time again. and I'm just hearing great things about it. The next book that I picked up is Death Valley by Melissa Broder. This is another book that has just been recommended to me time and time again. It has been so highly praised recently. I'm really looking forward to it, and I really hope it lives up to the hype. So this is about a woman who takes a vacation to a hotel in the desert. She's basically searching for a break because she just feels so empty inside because of what's happening within her personal life. Her father is in ICU, and her own husband also is in a really bad state with his health. So she is just looking for a break, for some time to herself to get her head right. And it's not until the receptionist recommends a hiking trail that the story really takes off. And on this hike, this woman encounters a really large cactus. The cactus is so tall that it towers over her, and it has a weird gash in its side, and it looks as if it's something that can be stepped into. So that's all I know about this book. I'm assuming that this woman steps into this cactus and there's just a whole heap of weirdness that happens because of it. I've heard, again, really great things about this author's other books as well, so I'm hoping that I'll enjoy this to the point that I will want to read some more of her books. It's always good to find a new favourite author, and that's what I'm really hoping for with this. The next book I picked up was Animal by Lisa Taddeo. So this is about our main character, Joan, who's always gone through life experiencing the violent and cruel acts of men. But it's not until one day where she witnesses a horrific event that causes her fight or flight to kick in. And she flees from New York City in order to go to Los Angeles, where she's seeking out her friend Alice. Now, Alice is a woman who's also trying to make sense of her past and has also experienced really negative things. But together, the two hope to try to make sense of what Joan has experienced within her life. And it's basically a novel that tries to explore female rage and the hunter versus the hunted. And again, I've picked this up solely on the reviews that I've been seeing. I've been seeing so many women online talk about this book and rave about it. We're seeing a little bit of a pattern here because obviously I'm going out of my way to pick up books that I've been seeing a lot of hype for, but you know, I think that they do sound like something that I will enjoy, but you never know with hyped books on the internet. Again, I feel like I'm making a safe bet just getting it out from the library. The next book is one of my most anticipated reads, and I'm really hoping that I enjoy it because it sounds like something that is so up my alley, and I'm really, really excited for it. Probably this is the one book out of this haul that I'm probably most excited for, and it's Loop by Jeremy Robert Johnson. So this is set in a cozy, quiet vacation town, and unbeknownst to the local people, a scientific experiment has gone horribly, horribly wrong. And what unleashes from this experiment is a virus that is only affecting the local teenagers, causing them to become incredibly violent and murderous. Funnily enough, a lot of these teenagers are actually the children of the biotech executives. So we follow our main character, Lucie, who is tasked with having to survive the night in this town, and she reluctantly meets up with other survivors, and it's basically a tale for those who are really into X-Files, The Twilight Zone, Stranger Things, and I've seen the story being compared to David Cronenberg's work, so those are all really good things in my book that it's been compared to. And again, I'm just hoping that it lives up to it. I love the kind of apocalyptic virus outbreak as a subgenre. As you know, it's one of my all-time favorites, and I'm just hoping I can add another book to my favorites within that genre. The next book is the one that I was waiting for the longest. So I'm pretty sure I ordered it in December, and we're in June now, and I only was able to pick it up last week because that's how many reserves were on it. It's The September House by Carissa Orlando. So this book came out last year. I saw a lot of mixed reviews on it, but for the most part, it seemed that for a haunted house horror story, a lot of people were pleasantly surprised by it. So the story follows Margaret and her husband Hal, and they've bought an old Victorian house, and they really believe that it's too good to be true based on how much they paid for the house and how cheap it was. And that's because it is, because the house is incredibly haunted, and after a while of living there, they realise this. And weirdly enough, September is the busiest month for hauntings. The ghosts will come out, the walls will drip blood, and for some reason the ghosts are really worried and scared about something that's down in the basement. Now, while most people would realistically flee from the house at this point, Margaret refuses to do so because this is her house. However, her husband, after 4 years of living here, decides to take off, that he can't stand it anymore. And then after that happens, their adult daughter comes back to the house. This is the first time she's ever really been here. She knows absolutely nothing of the hauntings, and Margaret hopes that it will stay that way. But the main problem is that September is just around the corner, and we don't know how much Margaret will actually be able to keep it a secret any longer. This just sounds like it's going to be fun, and again, from the reviews that I saw, it seems that a lot of people were just like really pleasantly surprised by it. I don't think this is going to go in and be like incredibly scary or anything like that. I think it's going to be more of an entertaining read, at least that's what I'm hoping for. And I feel like in the last year or two, there has been a lot of haunted house stories to hit the market, but seemingly this is one of the better ones. So I'm not too sure how the next book got on my radar, but I was really pleasantly surprised to see that my library actually had it in, and that's The Bone Orchard by Sara A. Mueller. So this follows a woman named Charm, who is a witch, but she's also a madam. And the story is set in this gorgeous gothic world that is full of magic. And Charm is having an affair, and had been having an affair with the Emperor. And he ends up tasking her with solving his murder, despite the fact that he's still alive. So it's meant to be a really interesting take on a whodunit situation, and Charm believes that it's going to be one of the Emperor's 3 sons, who are all pretty evil. You know, they're just full of notions of greed and all that sort of thing. But the main thing is that if Charm carries out this task correctly, she will earn her freedom. But I'm interested in the witch take on it, and a lot of people have said that this is kind of like a whimsical read despite the heavier themes within it. So this is something that I'm going into completely blind for the most part. I'm not sure about any reviews because I haven't really looked them up. I just liked the sound of the plot synopsis and I picked it up. Then the next book I have is One of the Good Guys by Araminta Hall. So this book caught my attention because it's on Gillian Flynn's imprint at Sando. So I read one of the books from that imprint earlier this year, The Centre, which has been one of my favourite reads so far this year. So I feel like anything that comes out on Gillian Flynn's imprint is bound to be good. And basically she started it just so that she could promote books that she really, really loves and have kind of similar vibes to her own books. So that's going to be an imprint that I'm really going to be looking at for the next while. There's a couple of books coming out over the next couple of months up until next year, and I'm just really looking forward to all of them. So this follows our main character, Cole, who has basically had to start his life over again after his marriage has fallen apart, and he decides to move from London to the coast in order to set up a new life for himself and just mentally move on from his poor marriage. And while he's there, he realizes that his neighbour, Leonora, is also escaping her past for similar reasons, and the two end up striking up a friendship between each other. But then things take a turn when the two find themselves caught up in the crosshairs of a police investigation after 2 female activists have gone missing. And suddenly both of them realize that each of them isn't what each other thought they were to begin with. So based on that, I'm hoping that this is going to be one of those thrillers that I can't put down, that I'm going to be finding absolutely gripping, because I haven't read a thriller like that in quite a while. So it would be nice to kind of kickstart getting myself back into reading thrillers again with that type of experience. The next book is, again, another book that I'm really anticipating. I've seen fantastic things said about it online, and I'm hoping that it lives up to the hype, and that is Intercepts, a horror novel by TJ Payne. So this is centered around our main character, Joe, who works at a government-run facility who use humans as test subjects for absolutely barbaric experiments. And there's one specific test that they've been running on these people, and it's a sensory deprivation-based test where the subject will lose their mind, but if the test is run correctly, they will be able to develop a new ability before their mind turns to mush. And this new ability is being able to intercept thoughts of anyone in the world. So the government is able to gain a lot of valuable intel from these experiments because these test subjects are able to tap into the minds of war criminals and terrorists and drug lords. So if what they're doing doesn't sound bad enough, Joe realizes that his daughter is having these really weird dreams where a woman is following her. And then these dreams become visions, and Joe realizes that there is potentially an inmate in this facility who's discovered to make contact and intercept his daughter's mind. So this sounds like it's got some really high stakes, but I've also seen people say that it's more of a thriller / sci-fi novel than a horror novel. It has horror elements in it, but for sure it's definitely more of a thriller-based novel. But regardless of that, I'm hoping to really enjoy it. Again, I've seen really positive reviews of this online, and I'm really hoping that that's going to be my experience too. So that has been my library book haul. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you've read any of these books and if you have any opinions on them. I'm hoping that I'll find some real treasures within this stack, and I'm really looking forward to reading them over the next month or two. If you want to keep up with me and my reading outside of YouTube, you can always follow me on my Instagram and my TikTok, where I do short form bookish content that I don't really do over here. And if you haven't done so already, I'd really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. It really helps the channel out, and it's a great way to show support without really having to do much at all. And it also gives me a good indication of the types of videos that you want to see more of from my channel. And as always, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you soon. Goodbye.